Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of the Timer Digest. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Jim.
Mark, do you have a special offer for our listeners?
Yeah, we sure do. If clients go to the shortcut for our Leibovit VR newsletters URL, which is VRTrader.com, that's VR stands for Volume Reversal, VRTrader.com, and you enter the promo code 2020 half off, just as it sounds, 2020 HALFOFF. You get 50% off whichever newsletter you subscribe to, and we do have quite a few up there on the screen once you go to VR Trader. So ranging from market timing to metals resources to cannabis, you name it, we've got it.
Mark, we know you're not just a technical analyst. You also have a cyclical analysis. You're a skeptic, contrarian. Can we believe what we're being officially told in both the mainstream media, in the financial markets, political commentary, and the virus pandemic?
Very simple answer, Jim. The answer is no.
Okay.
Set you up for that one. It's I don't believe anything that I really read on my own. I have to do research and try to confirm stuff. Ultimately, if you're doing stock market stuff, charting, trading, you rely on what the charts are telling you. Usually the press, the financial press, is bearish at bottoms, bullish at tops. I mean, occasionally they get it right in the middle of a trending situation, but as a general rule, good news is coming out. I generally become cynical or even possibly bearish, or bad news, just the opposite. But you got to look at your charts and put all the pieces together. So, but there's so many aspects to this: the political environment, the financial environment, the virus pandemic that we're involved with. We've already learned with the virus pandemic that there's all different stories and contrary opinions about what's really happening out there and who's got the cure and where it came from. And we could spend an hour going over all those possibilities, but the bottom line is, it's clear to me that what you're hearing, is at least on the official sources, it's a financial transaction. Bill Gates, Dr. Fiduci, whoever his name is, all these people are involved in the business of making money, and the vaccine, the creation of the virus itself may have been a economic enterprise just to create the business for the drug companies, which I have read over the years have been losing some business to the growing public, who has become to realize that drugs really aren't the answer, and there's alternate ways of taking care of yourself. And some of even the TV commercials you watch from the drug companies, they spend 10 seconds telling you how good it is and 50 seconds telling you how the drug could kill you. And I think, I don't know if it's the majority of people, but there's been a growing contingent. So they got to figure out some way to make more money, and why not get a virus out there and create a vaccine which can make them trillions of dollars. And it seems like an awfully cynical viewpoint that there's people that bad that would create an incident to just to make money, but we know that can happen. We've seen it in other industries, and I'm not a fan of the drug companies at all. One of the points I like to make, frankly, and even criticizing the medical profession itself, has there been a cure to any disease since polio? And I really don't think so. I mean, maybe someone could contradict me on this one, but I don't think we've actually cured anything. And the intent is to make money, and how do you do that? You know, with all the cures for cancer that supposedly were supposed to be created and never works. If that happened, it would put the medical profession and a lot of businesses out of business. So unfortunately, occasionally we come up with stuff like this. You know, create a virus, you can make a lot of money with a vaccine, and of course I think there's a lot more to it than just that, but very skeptical about it, and now we can spend a lot more time. I don't want to tie up the interview with this, but when you get down to looking at the charts and looking at the events and putting all the pieces together, you have to sort of tune out the news and see what you think where the dollar is going. You know, follow the dollar. You know, what is this all about? And that whether we're talking about a virus or we're talking about individual stocks or the market, I think that's what it comes down to. The sell-off that we saw, Jim, was no accident. We already know from various sources that corporate insiders were selling well ahead of the sell-off. Many corporate executives resigned in 2019. So, you know, this was a planned event, and that's why I refer to it as a plandemic in terms of the actual virus event itself, and whether those particular people that sold were involved in the process or just heard about what was coming down the pike. That's a whole other argument. But so, you know, my own work turned bearish the end of last year. That's one of the reasons I got ranked the #1 U.S. market timer. I saw something coming in the market. I was a little early. I saw similar patterns way back in 1987 and called the crash in 87, which got me in front of a lot of television cameras, a lot of shows and so forth. I put a sell signal out before 9/11. We put various other events in the last 20, 30 years, big sell-offs in the market, currency crises and so forth. You see it in the charts. You see it in the action of what's happening. You sort of get a feeling from the news. You get the super exuberance that you might see, you know, from the part of on the part of the press, and plus putting that together with your chart analysis. So, the answer to your question is, yeah, the answer is no. I don't really rely on the press, and I don't really follow or believe what they have to say, and usually think just the opposite.
Can you tell us more about your volume reversal indicator and where traders may get access to it?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. You know, the volume reversal is the tool that I created, you know, it must be 40 years ago when I was a floor trader on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. I was influenced by a technician that I did study with prior to that. His name was Roger Cole, who came up with some great volume tools, and we put all the pieces together, including his work. And, you know, in fact, he's the one who told me, I may have mentioned this on a previous interview, you know, he had apparently been on Wall Street in the old days when they still had chalkboards before the ticker tape actually came in, and apparently knew many of the founders of all the big firms way back in the teens and 1920s and so forth. But the first thing he said to me is, Mark, you're about to enter the most crooked business in the world, run by the biggest thieves. Do you want to do this? And he claimed to have delivered payments to various newspapers and other media outlets many, many decades ago to plant stories so that they could move stocks and so forth. So basically he taught me some of the basic rules of what he thought manipulation in the market was all about. But the volume reversal is an indicator that sort of follows the tracks of the smart money. And what we determined was that if we see, you know, volume increasing to the upside off of a low let's say from a reaction day or down day to a rally day, and volume is picking up, or conversely coming off a top where you have a rally day followed by a down day on increasing volume, the opposite pattern, you generally get follow through, and particularly when big blocks of stock trade. So the VR, the volume reversal, was not the only tool I use. I use cyclical indicators, conventional technical tools, contrary thinking, and all those pieces that we've talked about, and a lot of cyclical stuff which we've talked about on previous recordings. But the VR, volume reversal, is what I use specifically for very short-term trades, because when you get that volume signal, that's usually a good sign that you'll get some follow-through. Could be a beginning of a big move, multi-weeks, on a weekly chart. It could be just a few days. It could be for a few hours. Some of my clients actually use the indicator on a 5-minute chart intraday who want to become real aggressive with the S&P. But where you can access it is, it's real interesting. We set up a relationship with two platforms. One's called Metastock. The other's called TradeStation, Metastock.com and TradeStation.com. These are just platforms where you can you have charting and you can pull up your charts. I think TradeStation also does brokerage. I don't think Metastock is in the brokerage business, but you can subscribe to my volume reversal indicator as an add-on indicator. So you can subscribe to their platform, pull up a chart, and say, hey, I want to see Mark Leibovit's VR and see what that looks like on my chart. So you sign up for it as a special additional product. I think they charge like $90 a month to access the indicator, and that's what I use every day. So that's where you would actually use one of my main, if not the main technical tool that creates so many of the trades that we have been so successful with, including timing the market itself.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what's your overall market outlook?
Well, I got nervous a little early, Jim. Basically, in mid to late May, sell may go away, and, turns out the NASDAQ continued to move higher, and the S&P has underperformed here in the last couple, 3 weeks, but NASDAQ continues higher. But we're basically cautious until the fall. Obviously, there's been a lot of trades in between here. We've done a lot. We made actually a lot of money today in our, not a lot of money, but money in our various trading recommendations that we had, many on the long side. And when here on this Thursday morning, when the market opened up, it was up 500 points at one point. I think it was 480 points. We sold out a lot of positions that we had traded into the last day or two just to take the trade, not a statement that these stocks can't go higher at some later point, but they were based on our volume work. So, we still do the trading, but when you ask for my overall outlook, I can't help but think between now and the fall, we're going to continue to see some volatility. There's a lot of uncertainty regarding the November election. The financial press, including the conventional press, is convinced that Donald Trump won't get reelected. Sort of reminds me of the, if you remember that newspaper headline photo clip that came out many decades ago when Dewey supposedly beat Truman for the presidency, and the headline in the Chicago paper is Dewey beats Truman, but whether they actually Truman won because they didn't get all their numbers in until afterwards. So I'm sort of comparing that to now. They're convinced that Trump's already lost the election, and I'm not so convinced of that. I think the market will sort of give us a sense of what's coming. If it really is negative and selling off and really looks bad and we enter a bear phase prior to the election, then, the market knows something we don't know, and then perhaps the press is right now with all these polls. But I don't believe the polls, but I believe the market. So let's see what the market sort of tells us. But the uncertainty of the event, though, could create some volatility here. And I'm looking at the S&P, and, it's around the 3,200 level, and 3,130 actually the close today. I wouldn't be surprised to see it down to about 2,800 between now and September at least, and maybe even more if there's some more negative events surrounding the politics, and also other things, including all these street riots, the tear down of statues, and we can spend a lot of time talking about the nonsense that's going on out there, but that's definitely where I'm at. Cautious, trade close to the vest, but cautious between now and the fall.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after the break.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aben's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at abenresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what market sectors are attracting your interest?
Well, we've been trading these, and been doing pretty good at the. I mentioned last week. It's like solar stocks are still tradable. I still think there's more coming there. I think it's regardless of whoever gets in the fall in terms of the political forces here. I think there's a definite trend toward that. I think the Democrats perhaps more than the Republicans. I'm not sure, but definitely uptrend in the solar group. The big group is unfortunately the defense, personal defense, gun stocks like Smith & Wesson and the Sturm Ruger and the Taser stock, ticker symbol AAXN. These have been all on our trading list here, and people are running out in fear for their safety when they see what's going on in the streets. Of course, we have a little more freedom to do that in the U.S. than in Canada, and certainly more than many other countries. But the attack on the Second Amendment, the right to hold weapons, plus the concern to protect yourself. So these stocks are in uptrends, and they may continue. And unfortunately, if we, I don't want to predict civil unrest is going to continue or not, but my gut feeling for the last year or two is, there is going to be greater civil unrest, and I hate to use the word civil war, but we're starting to see early signs of that on a small scale. But I just have a very bad feeling that whoever wins the election, there's going to be violence. In other words, if the Democrats lose, they're going to get violent as they are now on the streets here in the U.S., and won't accept the election. If the Democrats win, a lot of the conservatives out there in fear of losing their freedoms, they may get more aggressive. So unfortunately, I don't think we have such pleasant times ahead of us on the streets of this country and I don't know when that's going to settle down. Many have talked about war cycles and civil unrest in this whole period from 2020 to 2022. Others that do bigger picture cyclical analysis. So personal safety is a big issue, so those gun stocks are high on my list. Other, gold, of course, is there. You got to trade it. I'm not bearish on gold, as I mentioned before. You got to trade it here. I don't think it's a straight line event. I think if it's going to be up, it'll be more toward the third and fourth quarter of this year than here. So we're just doing a little bit of trading with it. We're not just sitting here holding, looking for big moves, but the trend does appear higher. A lot of the fuel cell related stocks, alternate energy stocks, companies that are involved in alternate energy for trucking, for example. There's been a whole bunch of names that have come out that have been really hot, and without mentioning those names, some of them have been reverse merger deals, but new technology in trucking and energy conservation. But, a lot of names we had on our list here in the new technology for fuels and alternate fuels have been also popular, so those have been in our letter as well. And I would say those are sort of the highlights today, Jim, about the couple three that we're really focusing in on.
Mark, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit. Oh, Mark, before we go, can you again repeat your special offer?
Oh, yeah, great. Thank you for mentioning it. vrtrader.com. Go to vrtrader.com and enter the promo code 2020 half off in the order form. When you pull it up, there's a little space for your promo code. It's 2020 half off, and you get 50% off on any of our newsletters. Thank you, at vrtrader.com.
Have a great Independence Day.
Thank you. Did you have a good Canada Day?
I sure did.
That's
on a
great.
paddle wheeler. My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.